Hello, folks, and welcome back to Game 2 between Denver and Colorado Boulder. Uh, yeah, I'm just trying to unmute Gorgon while my cat plays with the mouse, the actual computer mouse. It's very yeah. Anyway, let's get back into it. We've got Game 2, Drow Strats 0 for 2 today, and actually banned out here.
Not honestly that successful of a hero outside of high levels of professional play. You don't see Drow succeed all that often, and it's even less often now that she has received that somewhat notable nerf to her strength gain. So I'm kind of surprised to see how heavily CU boys are still prioritizing her, to be honest.
Yeah, it's both series today have had teams being very interested in the Drow picks and just seeing them not work. And I think it does sometimes feel like a bit of it has to do with Drow lineups require such a great timing play, which is very difficult to pull off unless, as you said, you're very high level of Dota.
Yeah, and more specifically, you need very good coordination and draft synergy and understanding of windowing, and you absolutely under no circumstances can teeter out. Like, you need to hit your mark. And really, we did not see that at all last game. We saw a lot of I can only describe as infighting, or the appearance of infighting from the team. They didn't hit their marks or their windows of activation, their power spikes, as some casters like to say. They were not prepared to initiate. They didn't really have a plan for starting combat, and they didn't really have objectives in their mind. Um, but this is a new game, and so far they're getting a lot of potential initiation and as well a decent amount of combat orientation. They don't really have anything in the way of push so far. As far as their opponents, for Denver University, we're seeing a little bit of the ain't broke, don't fix it mentality as they go for a very mid game oriented strat.
I mean, yeah, this is. Earthshaker clearly did good work. AA, even though it had a bit of a rough start on that hero, did really well. The Veno, now I have reservations with this hero generally, but I actually really like it here into the Faceless Void and Timber, as they're heroes that you can be a pain to the Faceless Void in lane since you're doing a lot of slow damage that he can't easily time walk away, and also Timbersaw, fully a hero that you want to magic down because of that
Yeah,
reactive armor.
if I had to guess, that's probably a solo safe. So that is probably a Venomancer that's going to solo into the Timber Saw or the Faceless Void. No, probably mid Timber Saw, right? Offlane Faceless Void. So solo into the Faceless Void. That's a pretty favorable matchup for the Venomancer. TA is going to come out here as well. TA really, really good into the Timber Saw if you're a good TA, because your side blades can just chew through all of his armor.
Yeah, I really I don't know. I like Templar Assassin, but something I do worry about, of course, is that she does need to snowball somewhat,
Yeah.
and we'll have to see how effectively she can do that here.
No,
Um,
to be fair, we said the same thing about the Phantom Assassin in last game. CU
yeah,
boys just gave all the time in the world for the PA to catch back up. And then that PA ended up just one hitting supports. So, yeah, in theory, it needs to snowball, but only if your opponents are going to make a move at some point. And if they're not going to make a move, you've got all the time to do it that you want.
yeah, super true. Well, we will just have to see. See, you boys get to pick up another one here. There's a couple of different supports that would synergize well with the Chronosphere. Stuff like a Witch Doctor, you can make sure to put a lot of damage in there. They could also be thinking of grabbing someone like the Jug. Of course, can ult. Oh wait, definitely not, because this is going to be a safe lane Faceless Void since we have Timbersaw. It could be mid, but I kind of doubt it.
Well, the Timber Saw could be mid, and the Faceless Void could be
Actually,
offlane.
yes,
That's what
that's a
I
good
was
point.
expecting. That's what I was expecting, although it could be a safe lane Faceless Void. Especially since Timbersod doesn't really match up very well into TA. Once again, the side blades choose through him very heavily in the early game. He does not contest Rune very well into TA, and moreover, he doesn't have a way to knock down her refraction charge. So for all of those reasons, if they were thinking about a mid Timbersod, they may be rethinking now.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's really funny how flexible Dota is right now, right? Like, if you had said, I guess a year ago, if you had said, like, Jug and PA and Faceless and Timbersaw and so on could all go mid comfortably, like, right? It would have been pretty funny a year ago about this time. It wasn't, all that popular. Anyway, we just have a lot of options, and again, with the Jug pickup, this could be a Faceless Void offlane. They could decide they want this Jug mid, although as you said, I kind of am now expecting the Timbersaw into the Templar, but yeah, lots of options.
I think the Juggernaut's probably their best matchup into the Templar Assassin because he does have something to lift the refraction charges up. He also has a good escape mechanism for getting away from the Earthshaker potentially, if there is a rotation incoming. And there isn't a stun,
One
really.
second. Go on. Sorry, I will just say that one of my kittens we've discovered is loud enough to come through on the mic. I will probably have
Oh,
to
I
move
couldn't
back
hear it.
downstairs. I'm so sorry.
So, yeah, but the CU boys, I think Juggernaut's probably the most favorable matchup into the TA, at least for the first 3 or 4 levels. But that doesn't necessarily mean that that player is comfortable running that mid. In my heart of hearts, I still expect that Timber Sub, even though it's not a favorable matchup. CU boys still need a support here. Something that synergizes with the Faceless Void would be really nice. Omni Knight's okay. After the nerf to Omni Knight over the last, once again, 6.88F, that was a substantial range nerf onto Omni Knight, as well as, I believe, a nerf to Repel's duration at low levels. The Repel is going to be very nice into the Vexor as well as the Earthshaker and even potentially the Ancient Apparition. The heal, not really that useful into the Ancient Apparition, but otherwise very good. It doesn't give them a lot of control, and once again, CU boys lacking control. They look like they're going to be lacking damage potentially in the Chronosphere as well. So that Chronosphere is going to have to be a MVP Phoenix style control Chronosphere where you try to separate the fight into two functions or two areas rather than specifically a Chronosphere to trap people inside of and then kill them. Meanwhile, I do think the mid game here has the potential to really take off for Denver University. The TA already there, the Venomancer as well. Very strong mid game, especially given solo early experience, which I said from the beginning I expect. Uh, Maybe not as much anymore.
Yeah, this
Spectre,
is.
safe lane. Spectre does not aggressive tri lane well. So while I was expecting an aggressive tri lane, I don't think we're actually going to.
But there's some easy combos here that are pretty popular. The whole Spectre AA, right? You AA
Yep.
someone, Spectre can just haunt in and get the kill, or vice versa. You knew someone was low, you haunt, AA can follow up and help out. I think there's some good, easy ways to make sure the Spectre gets farmed, and I like that a
Yeah.
lot. And the other big problem is Omni, like, picking the Omni into the AA, while, as you said, there's definitely some benefits, it's still really risky.
Yeah, you're not going to get that purification benefit out. And also, the shatter death can happen during
Yeah.
Omni Knight's ultimate. So,
And of course, during
that
repel, if someone attacks you, right, it's
right.
magic piercing the shatter effect. So,
Right, you
magic
can
resist.
potentially stop the shatter from killing someone if there's no additional income. And that's nice, but that's a pretty small benefit, like you said. I tend to agree with you that that matchup goes a little favorably too.
So we'll just have to see. And early, a really early ward actually. It does also block the ancients, which they will realize quickly, but maybe not in time for PA to get a couple of those stacks off. So
Yeah. That's important too. TA getting off an early set of stacks. It really you want to start stacking by the 3-minute mark if you have a
oh
TA on your
goodness.
team.
That fissure gonna completely block them out, and I'm really surprised that Radiant didn't go for this. Oh, okay, they kind of. Oh, what is Dad doing? So they're just gonna very slowly poke away at Dad, but I'm very surprised they didn't kind of double down on that. We got refractions throwing out. Now they're turning around onto Omni instead. This is a very confusing fight, and the Poison Touch is doing good work, but it doesn't look like they'll actually kill anyone. So really an odd. Okay, I spoke too soon. Omni is probably going to go down here.
There it is. Okay. Confusing is a good word for what just happened. I will give that to you. So I don't really know that there's any more breaking down you can do of that other than both teams did not seem to be on the same page on that engagement. But with regards to this early ward block, that is going to be a great ward if Radiant don't scout that early. But if Radiant scout that out early, it's going to be completely useless. Just because they're going to counter ward it, and you only need to start actually stacking with a TA on your team by the 3 minutes. You don't need the first 2 minutes. Because you only
Yeah.
need to be able to knock down 4, maybe 5 stacks in order to help your Desolator along, right?
Yeah.
And you're not going to be able to do it before 7-8 minutes anyway. So the first 3 minutes don't really matter.
So we are having a rotation. We are going to see the aggro try because they want to make sure that Spectre has a rough time. Actually, leading already into a stun on her. They're going to get the purification off as well, but just not quite enough. And so Spectre will salve out, but is out of mana.
Yeah, she doesn't do particularly well in high aggression lanes, which is why I'd said she doesn't do well in an aggressive try, but she also doesn't do well against an aggressive try, and neither does Ancient Apparition, by the way. These are two heroes really bad at this. They probably need to rotate the Earthshaker down and have him just kind of leech the experience down here. Maybe the Venomancer, but that would be a little risky.
Yeah, the Spectre starting items are also making things hard. Doesn't have a Quelling Blade, doesn't really have great recourse for getting those last hits, and as you said, because of the tri-lane, doesn't get any benefits of Desolate.
Yeah, this is an interesting continued laning decision coming out of the Radiant side, and they probably, wow, the Spectre actually just blocked AA and will probably have just killed him. No, they're not going to be able to catch up. Okay.
Just to walk away there. Actually, chilling touch, but that is not, yeah.
There's no
I
way.
agree.
There's still purification available on the Omni. Like, that is super pie in the sky.
Yeah, but now checking out mid lane, because that's of course another important lane. It does look like things are pretty even. TA is a little bit up on denies, but despite Jug coming to lane pretty late due to needing to heal up, things really even, and they have not noticed, it looks like, the blocked camp yet.
Yeah. This is really I'm very happy for CUB to have decided to throw Juggernaut mid, because like I said, I think this is the best matchup that they have available to them, the Jug on the TA. But
In a lot of trouble in bottom. Oh, the bash maybe seals the deal. The purification is going to help out, and Lion actually gets the last hit, and we'll see Veno TP down, but may not be enough.
Venomancer came down into this lane maybe a little bit late. But moreover, the draft here is a little sickle-celled coming out of the Radiant side. Like, they don't have the ability to do all the functions they need in the early game, right? They can't defend the Spectre, nor do they have anybody who roams particularly well, which means they don't have anybody to stack Ancients. So they don't, like, this ward was a good idea, but it didn't end up paying off just because nobody on Radiant was able to rotate to stack Ancients anyway, right? The Juggernaut is doing very well against the TA in the mid lane, and now we've got 15 last hits on 3 cores coming out of the Dire side, 1 in each lane.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how this pans out because, again, last game, I do believe Cub had the advantage going in to the mid game. But then,
Yeah,
of course,
I agree.
the Earthshaker plays, the Blinks coming out, that they'll similarly have on TA here. So we'll have to see how it goes. But Earthshaker is actually obviously down on top lane, partly because he was in a duel before, but excuse me, but he is going to catch back up. So we'll have to see.
I think really the point to watch for Cub, if nothing else, watch once they get the tier 1s down. What do they do once it's tier 2s or nothing? Because last game, that's really where they fell apart. They didn't really have a sense of where to go after that. And given their lineup and the tools that are lacking on Radiant, unless there's some serious misplays, they'll probably have a small advantage through the early and mid game. And they can leverage that probably for a couple of early turns, especially with the Juggernaut healing ward available.
Yeah, so we'll be waiting for some action. It might be, oh, okay, as I say that, we see Venomancer in a lot of trouble, is hexed up here. And again, as you talked about, Spectre's trying to do anything, but you just don't. He's poking away at the Lion, maybe gonna actually get this kill, but now in a very dangerous position herself. Let's see if they can get a time lock stun off here, but no such luck.
Yeah, and they had just emptied that proc box. So, because it is pseudo-random distribution, once he gets it once on one hero or creep, he's unlikely to get it again in that fight, especially with this low of an attack speed. Right, he doesn't even have his gloves of haste yet. But up top, you know, the Earthshaker does go down. Not a super favorable matchup for the Earthshaker, to be quite honest. And the Timbersaw is just kind of chipping away at this tower.
Another thing I was trying to say before action did break out, is I expect a little bit of a lack of action, at least compared to last game, until the Faceless Void has Chronosphere, and of course because it's a tri-lane, that'll be coming just a little bit later. So yeah. I wouldn't be surprised if it isn't for a while that we start seeing things go. But again, as I say, that Jug wants to come down bottom. He has Omni Slash. May as well use it. There is the Hex. Oh, they are trying to get both, and they may. The spin will pick up one, and he still has mana for Omni Slash. She is in the creep wave. She's actually trying to stay in there. She understands what's going on here, but it does not matter, and Spectre goes down.
Yeah, they're going to be able to push this tower as well, and they do have the healing ward out here, and there's no reason not to. They have no incentive to not push, other than it gives the TA a little bit of time to farm. But the TA really isn't going to be going anywhere near as fast as you would expect a TA to, at this level of play, to go anyway, because there's no ancient stacks, so they can afford to give 2 or 3 waves. Well, I take it back. They're going to go and contest the TA right away and not push that tower, and I'm very confused by the decision.
Yeah, she's going to also lose all of those refraction charges. She should know that Omni Slash is down, but of course, she realizes she might take a Pure Bomb, and so backs it up.
Yeah, they don't really have any stuns to hold her back, so she needs to be overly aggressive to die here. They don't have a lot of tools for knocking her down. They just have tools for zoning her out.
Now, A has gone up top. Fissure, unfortunately, going to be on the wrong side and not terribly applicable to a Timbersaw.
Right.
So that'll be that. But now this does leave Spectre alone on bottom. There is the Chronosphere. They will most likely stun to follow it up. There is the pure heal bomb. There's the stun. And Venno coming in to poke at them. But these lanes just falling apart for BU.
Yep. This is about how bad the game was going for them last game, though. Right?
It's true.
At about this stage. And they arguably had a worse late game last game as well. In this game, they have pretty solid late game. TA and Spectre both very good late game. Very good combat dealers, as well as good pushers and counter pushers. They have a global initiation up top.
Oh gosh, they have to Echo Slam because otherwise Timbersaw's going to kill them, but they managed to bring him down.
Really nice play.
Gosh, but in bottom we also have action. There is going to be a very deep chronomet. He cannot jump away. 6 seconds. If they can bring him down here, if they can do the damage, but they're focusing 2 different targets. They're trying to get both, and I think the bigger one is the Faceless Void. He's going to time walk away. It doesn't give him back much health, but now with the TP away, there is not enough damage, and he gets out.
Yeah. I think you were right. The Faceless Void probably was the target there, but hey, at least they got something, right?
I also could have been a little bit wrong. I was not 100% sure. I think that Venno is in range to attack the Faceless Void, but I'm not 100% sure, given that he is one of those shorter ranged heroes, and it was an odd position. So.
Yeah, that's possible as well. I didn't see it. I was kind of watching it from the corner, mostly focusing on the Faceless Void, as you were, for the reason that he is a much higher priority target.
Well,
but towers are starting to get stripped down pretty successfully here. Mid tower just about down. Both the top and bottom tower have taken a pretty decent amount of damage here for the Radiant side. And CUB, they need to not just sit back. And they need to absolutely not do what they did last game, which was just take every possible fight they saw without consideration of what it gets them if they win, and what it does to them if they lose. They need to make sure they're keeping their
are fortified.
Prize.
Oh, you cut out a little bit there. Not sure if you can hear me well, but give me a heads up. They are going to get the deny on the mid tower. Unfortunate for Jug, but on bottom, Spectre being harassed greatly by this Timbersaw. And up top, Faceless Void does manage to get the Chronosphere up, kills off Earthshaker, who is having a hell of a time. You know, similar amount of gold as last game to that Blink Dagger, but just not looking like enough. While we wait for us to sort... Yeah, there we go.
I'm back. Sorry about that, folks.
No worries. Let me know if it's your internet or Discord, because we can always switch providers.
Well, I got booted from the game too. So
yeah, I saw you got booted, but I wasn't sure if you were just like restarting everything. But anyway,
yay,
you missed all the murders. The entire state of the game has changed while you were away. And yes, exactly. So,
Even visibly so, yeah. No, the Yasha is up now in the Juggernaut. That's going to be very nice for this stage of the game, especially.
Oh goodness, they are maybe going to get a kill on Timbersaw again. The Echo Slams. These solo Echo Slams just locking down Timbersaw. They may pay with their lives. Juggernaut wants to get something done here. Is going to try to spin, getting rid of the creep wave so that he can use that Omni Slash, but there are too many heroes around. He cannot. He is slowed up, and all he has to get out of this is Omni Slash. His dad overextended the healing ward, not doing enough work, but in comes Mr. Repel. There's the Omni Slash, but oh no, it was only level 1. He's just so close to level 2 in that. He does get the spin off onto the Spectre. She's taking a lot of damage here. They are trying to block him out though, and now with the A blast right on top of him along with the fissure, they pick up that high value Juggernaut.
That is exactly what I was complaining about CUB doing in the last game, where they engage for no real clear reason, with no real clear agenda other than I want to murder some. And yeah, the Juggernaut going in really deep for without the backup that he needs, and just giving a tremendous advantage back the way of their opponents. If CUB lose 2 game in hand with this very greedy playstyle and the lack of communication, it's going to be a real stinging moment.
Yeah, it's a really odd pill to swallow, that type of thing. And now, unfortunately, because of that kill on Timbersaw in the bottom lane, they have the Blink finished up on Earthshaker, who is ready to use it. They will use the Spectral Haunt so that they can catch the line in the back lane. A perfect AA blast, and they'll get 2 here.
Yeah.
Really well done.
Things are starting to look pretty rough, especially considering, unlike last game, I would suppose that Radiant have a pretty inarguably better late game. Right? Like, Juggernaut goes late, okay. Like, I mean, he goes late very well. Don't get me wrong. And Faceless Void goes late, okay. But neither of them go late as well as Spectre. And arguably, maybe neither of them go late as well as PA either.
Additional issues, of course, being that while Timbersaw does go late very well, Lion, you can argue, drops off some, and Omni has similar issues, especially since people will pick up defusals here. Spectre already just being a hero who loves going that item, and TA can certainly itemize that way. We have a Hex opening up, but the A blast from the other side, the finger not enough to kill him. Templar Assassin wants to go deep on this. It doesn't look like they might actually shatter that guy. It's kind of close to tell. Chronosphere does come on in, but Templar Assassin is full health. They need some more damage. They get the bash that forces her into the chakram. 3 more seconds. She's just in there. The Echo Slam comes out. She isn't able to get off that refractions in time. And now Omni with a misplaced ult a little bit. So it looks like folks on Radiant need to just back on out. But, whoa, what a fight. Oh gosh, it's not done yet. Oh, the blink away.
Okay. That was okay for Dire. I mean, maybe okay slightly because Radiant wasn't quite prepared for that fight the way that they needed to be. But even so, they got a positive trade. They're close to getting a Bloodstone up on the Timbersaw. Well, yeah, they're pretty close to it. They're about 900 gold away. And that will be a nice moment for them. They'll actually be able to be aggressive and try to take these fights that they've been trying to take. They really just don't necessarily have the best sense of pacing as a squad. When they start to lose that power spike, they're not willing to wait till they get the core items they need up or smoke or whatever. They just continue to do the same strategy as though they were just as strong as they had been.
Something that's scarier than last game as well is Spectre is very much okay. We're haunting in. They know that there is no Chronosphere for this fight. Another on-point AA blast. They walk into it. They manage to get 2. Of course, Faceless is repelled, and it's an early level AA blast, so it doesn't last for terribly long. But Earthshaker, taking advantage of knowing that repel was down the time walk away, does completely save him from that. And we will just see the walkout. But that combo, right? As this game progresses, it's going to become so devastating.
Right, and Juggernaut's not contributing at all right now. Even though we got off to a really good start because he came down here and was overly aggressive in that one fight, and now he seems to be a little shaken, right? He's just been farming this whole time, waiting for his next item, which is okay. That's kind of what I've been saying they need to do, but he needs to not have his team going in and dying one at a time while he's farming. That's not the way to do it. He does have the Blink Dagger up now, which is an initiation item. It's not really going to help him do the damage he needs, which means his team is really going to have to corral for him. It's going to work.
Yeah, Timbersaw is a little bit out of position. Does Timber Chain all the way away, and we do see folks backing up. They should have a good idea that Chronosphere is back up. Of course, Jug front lining also gives you a good idea that there may be death and destruction coming your way. They do not realize they have wards right on top of each other. That ward's a little bit of a lie. It's blue looking, so I thought the sentry.
Yeah,
for a
that does
second
look
there,
like a
right?
sentry. You're right.
It's questionable. Remember when Valve had design guidelines for items? Remember that?
Yeah. What a day that was,
Oh
huh?
gosh, yeah, that was
Crazy.
funny. But yeah, just back into this one. I was trying to say before that fight broke out. You have to be really careful into a Spectre because she's one of those heroes. Oh,
Here we go.
You're never gonna get to talk about it. We have Timber Saw using that chakram. They blow up that Venno finger as well. Omni Slash. This A blows too little, too late. Echo Slam does manage to catch a few of them. They'll get one, but it looks like Earthshaker will pay with his life. Templar picks up one on the side, so. Ends up being kind of good for the initiation factor. What is Saint Blue doing going in there trying to get this? Yep, he just time walks it off and goodbye AA.
Real lack of discipline from the AA there. Hard to see it any other way, but a very nice exchange from CUB and gets them back into this game. Now that the Juggernaut is actually contributing in this way as well, they just have a lot of tools that they didn't have otherwise. And now they have some push they really didn't have without them, which means that they're actually able to make something happen after these fights. And remember, that was one of my biggest criticisms of this team, is that they don't seem to always have what next on their minds.
Yeah, I think it's really... It's just always difficult at the amateur level to realize when you need to capitalize on those pushing objectives, especially when you're running some big ultimate heroes like the Juggernaut and like the Faceless Void, where you're a bit maybe worried, oh, we have to play around Chronosphere, but they really don't, right? They have Healing Ward, they can sustain their pushes really well with that and with Omni, so...
Yeah. Jug's gonna blink in on the Spectre up top. He shouldn't be able to get this kill, but...
Without Omni... Oh, he actually does have it back up already.
Omni Slash.
Oh, good
it's
job.
only 3, right? It's only level 1.
2.
Oh, is it level 2 now?
Yeah.
Okay.
He's
Then yes,
he's big
maybe
and
he
scary.
could have done that.
Also, Spectre, we didn't talk about it much, but of course she is going for the Diffusal. She went the Vanguard build. I think it's good to tank up some.
She needed it. I don't think it's great every game, but she needed it this time. She was just falling apart, you know what I mean?
Yeah. So a smoke from Cub, not super successful, but Faceless Void will have his ult in another 13 seconds, and Venno looking for that Aether Lens. This is another question I have. What do you do with your Venomancer, right? Like, you've got a Venno, where do you go with this support Venno as the game progresses?
And high ground siege potential. You really just... It gives you a little more of an insurance policy if you do start to fall behind, because Venno has really good high ground defense as well. It gives you some vision potential, and also, if this Venomancer micros his wards particularly well, he always has an answer to the healing ward, right? He can have one of his serpent wards, or excuse me, plague wards, knock out the healing ward every time from safety. So it provides some tools that they otherwise didn't have. I think mostly what they were looking for, though, is just a lot of AoE damage. They'd be able to win these fights if they last long enough.
Yeah. Well, speaking of fights, folks are a little bit set up. Templar Assassin has her Blink. She actually didn't go for the early Deso. It's a really interesting build. She went Dragonlance Blink. I have seen everybody and their mother complete, usually, like, Treads Deso. Sometimes not completing the Treads, but, you know, Deso Blink seems to be the popular build. So I'm really interested to see her go a different way.
Yeah, but that is usually with the benefit of Ancient Stacks as well, right? Without the benefit of Ancient Stacks, you can't get the Deso fast enough for it to be useful. Or, I mean, it's always useful, but you can't get it fast enough for it to be useful as your first item.
Oh, TP cancelled on top lane, so Spectre should know she's safe from at least the Chronosphere, but they may try to go in mid. There's also already a Linken's up on this Faceless Void. A very interesting pickup here considering the hero comp on the Radiant.
What is that Lincoln's possibly going to stop?
I can only see Dagger
There's only
and
one
Cold
stop.
Feet.
Cold Feet, yeah.
Cold Feet and Dagger, the Spectral Dagger.
Well, it will only stop Dagger if she clicks on him, not if she throws it through
I mean,
him.
that's
Right.
it's not uncommon.
I guess. But yeah, there's only one spell that is guaranteed to stop. That's a really weird choice.
It
Like, this
is.
seems like a game you go, if you're going for a defensive build, you go Vanguard, right?
Or BKB, just because you're running into an Earthshaker Veno AA.
Yeah. Yeah, you do have Repel available. Maybe you go to the... Certainly you'd...
Oh my goodness, that's an Echo Slam from Downtown Juggernaut. Almost deleted. Is he going to be saved by his
Oh!
teammate? He gets off the Omni Slash. I didn't see if the AA ult hit him. He may still be in trouble here. It did, but they need to damage him. They do manage to get it off, and there is the Veno ult as well. A lot of heals flying around. It looks like both sides just want to back out, but that is worth it. For the Radiant, they burned Chronosphere. They killed off the Juggernaut.
They're going to have Ice Blast up here not too long, so as long as they don't over-engage, they should be fine. Haunt is still up as well, so the Spectre can walk all the way back to the fountain, heal up, and then haunt back into this fight, knowing that just about everything is down for their opponent.
Yeah. Here we go. Folks are poking at the tower. They still have their cold hands. It's the chilling touch on. I like to call it cold hands because it kind of looks like that. But I think just making sure that if folks go on them, they have that extra damage. So.
Yeah. Earthshaker's going to teleport back in and get ready for round 2.
Yeah, I've really liked. I mean, Earthshaker 1 has played incredibly well. I think both games, and
I agree.
you got to give some commends there. I actually think that Earthshaker is what's helping this AA hit blasts in both of these games. They seem to have that combo down pat. The fissure or the Echo Slam into AA blast.
Yeah, and the ice blasts have been pretty good. Don't get me wrong in a lot of cases, but there's a little room for improvement there.
Oh, it's the discipline on the player.
Regularly. Yeah, exactly. There's a lack of discipline on that specific player, but moreover, he's regularly offset by about 100 units from getting a full team or everybody in the area with him. He often clips the Ice Blast a little bit too eagerly and doesn't wait to see who else it might hit, which is a big part of being able to actually land that. He's going to miss that there, but down bottom they might still be able to get... Nope, okay.
They're trying, but unfortunately you need some sort of lockdown to go on a Timbersaur. A Diffusal isn't going to cut it.
Yeah, especially near all those trees. Maybe in a different area of the map they would have been able to, but quite there. Still, Haunt's still up. Anytime Denver University want to try and take a fight, they can.
Yeah, they've got... I mean, this is what I keep trying to say, so if I say it now, a team fight will start. Spectre, you have to be really careful when you play into a Spectre because she's one of those heroes who actually does really well from behind, and this sounds very counterintuitive, but it's because she can get that haunt where you weren't careful and she survives and gets involved in 3 kills and suddenly has 2,000 gold. So,
well, moreover, she's the only carry in the game, the only damage dealing carry in the game that can farm literally until a fight starts and then join the fight from anywhere. No other farming carry in the game does that.
well, there was going to... The Chronosphere was used middle on the Earthshaker, so he may respawn and be able to engage in this fight knowing that there is no Chronosphere.
Yep. But, I mean, take a look at where the Spectre is safely farming down in the bottom. Remember, when the Juggernaut did this, it was at an enormous disadvantage to his team. When the Spectre does this, it's just good play.
She's
not good play when it gets cut out, though.
There's a Lion coming. Lion doesn't have Blink yet, but has Tranquils, and Windlace is trying to catch up, but Spectre, of course, with that move speed boost from the dagger is going to be just fine.
Yeah, that is a max dagger build as well, so she is pretty survivable.
Yeah, it's actually pretty funny, her build from just different Spectre builds coming into play. I kind of would expect this build with the Urn, but of course they have the AA on their team being their Urn builder, so
yeah,
it's just interesting. And I think that's just a case of they decided ahead of time to itemize this way and they're going with it, which is nice at least to see a team discussing it.
Yeah, and what does the Urn really give the Spectre that much? She already has the Vanguard for survivability, right? And she's not going to be near her team to heal up her team until a fight starts, so I can buy this.
Yeah, either way. Templar Assassin now beginning work on the Deso. Still does not have Ring of Aquila always on. Always something interesting to see. And we, again, this Faceless Void with the Lincolns now working on the Manta. We'll have to see if this ends up paying off in the bottom lane. AA will go down. Earthshaker is being chased, but manages to blink away. He does have Echo Slam there, but knows that he can't really do too much without the rest of his team. And these little pickups will add up. We can see that they are about 3,000 ahead on Cub and 4,000 experience.
Yep. A tower does drop here, though, as Spectre split pushes, and As you said, this is a hero you can't just ignore forever. She does really well playing from behind. CUB is going to start sieging on to that tier 2.
Radiant
And it
structures
looks
are
like a counter
fortified.
initiation may be coming here any second.
Tower does go down. They're all smoked up. They're, I think, looking... Oh, okay, that might be the pick. Oh, but they don't blink in to stop it. And maybe Cub thinks they can initiate, but the Echo Slam manages to land on 2 Templar Assassin, also trying to get those cleaves. They've already picked up the Jug. The A Blast, it misses just on the Timbersaw. Finger comes up, finishing off the Earthshaker. And again, they have trouble catching that Timbersaw, but Lion should be a much easier mark. Does have Blink, but doesn't have Stun, so can't just get on out.
You traded a tier 1 for a tier 2 and then an Earthshaker for a Juggernaut and a Lion. I think that's a pretty decent trade for Radiant, all things said and done. They probably didn't have to give up that tier 2, and that's a real unfortunate turn of events for them, but they can be fairly happy with the way that went, considering they are playing from behind.
Yeah, I mean, they got, like, close to 1,500 gold. A good portion of that, of course, going to the Spectre. She suddenly has a
Now it's
Yasha.
Yasha. Yeah.
Just all nice things. And of course, this Spectre, again, we talked about how the Diffusal wasn't enough to kill the Timber. But of course, when she has the Manta and she's burning his mana, Timber doesn't stay alive without his mana. So,
Yeah.
very important
Dire's
to
middle tower is under attack.
focus on that.
Yeah, and really, I don't think for Colorado University there is an impetus to pick these fights. There's not an impetus to stay ahead because they feel confident in how their late game will go. They have gone for a more high ground defense oriented build as well. The TA has extra range. She can
Oh
cover
gosh,
creeps really
poor
safely.
Faceless Void wasn't expecting the... Oh, they don't actually go for it? They... Okay, never mind. My word.
They're gonna
We've got
do
problems in the back line for AA. Venno, unfortunately, the Gale does not work on the Spinning Juggernaut. He's just going to Omni Slash you, and that is 2 dead for DU.
Yeah, it's a real shame. I was just saying how Colorado University doesn't have the impetus to fight, and they go out as a group away from their tower and try to make it happen. Anyway, a little bit of lack of discipline once again coming out of maybe the team as a whole, certainly some of these players, and they're going to be punished by a tower loss probably.
Now, Spectre will have Haunt up in a few seconds, and teammates are respawning, but this is a very hard tower to defend, and they do not have Glyph.
Radiant's top tower has fallen.
Yeah, they're going to have to get rid of that tier 2. And a couple of errors here from Colorado University may be making this game a little bit closer to a barracks than they would like, because they go late very well. But one thing Spectre does not do well is deal with mega creeps or super creeps, right? She doesn't have any good way of knocking them down quickly. Granted, the TA does that, but you really want your farming carry, who can be anywhere on the map, to be the one who's able to knock down those creeps.
Oh, we have another engagement that may be less than optimal, doing the good job of rotating through the high ground. I believe AA saw the Faceless Void, though, and is like, I need to leave. They are awfully close to middle. Chronosphere is up, but so is Haunt. Basically all the ults. Let's just put it that way, except for Omni Slash, which is very close. Oh gosh, Templar Assassin is in a bad way. They are just going to murder her. We do see Venner's ult go out, and the AA Blast will only tick on the Timber. It is not enough, and that may have just botched their initiation here.
Yeah, they're not hitting a lot of these spells, to be quite honest, and they need to be. The Venomancer, I don't think they've gotten any utility out of that Venomancer, really, that they wouldn't have gotten out of some other hero. The AA, as we said before, has been playing pretty well, but some of these ults leave a little room to be desired. And they need to buy more space. If their strategy is going to be buy space for the Spectre, they need to do a much better job of that purchasing power. Right, she doesn't even have Manta yet.
A-Blast coming on through, but one is going to jump forwards. AA taken out by the Omni Slash, and still Chronosphere is at the ready. Earthshaker does manage to land the fissure, but there it is, the Chronosphere catching out too. Omni now healing up the Jug. Finger kills off the Earthshaker. Spectre haunts on in, but too little too late. She gets sucked off, is out of mana. The tower does still stand, but Spectre going in against all of them. The Templar Assassin isn't here yet. She luckily gets away. Templar just blinks away. But if Spectre isn't careful, she will get murdered by this Timbersaw. Looking for it. Instead, just going to burn some refraction charges on Templar. And now the Rack's exposed and quickly falling under CUB.
Yeah, this is bad sorts here for
Radiant's
Colorado
middle
University.
has fallen.
Looking like this may be the lost legs. They didn't get an Echo Slam off, which I think was particularly devastating, right? The lack of ability to initiate really hurting DU here.
Yeah, once again, it comes down to they're not able to do the job initiating that they did last time, right? Last game they won largely on that initiation factor. In this game, they're not hitting a lot of these abilities. They're not getting a lot of them off. And that's not giving the Spectre a good opportunity to hunt in. The Spectre needs to fight to be under control before she comes in. Otherwise, she's just wasting an opportunity to farm. She does have most of her Manta up now, but because they are fighting against an exposed lane, that becomes a little bit less valuable.
Yeah, there's so many painful things here, right? Less gold, you're fighting against these big creeps, you don't have map control because that lane is always pushing. Just a couple of
That's
problems.
an important lane to have control over too, with regards to Roshan.
So they are looking to converge on Templar Assassin because, as we can see, Daya has complete vision in the Radiant jungle. She is going to just manage to walk away thanks to traps giving her a bit of intel, but still, it is really scary. And what looked to be a game that DU would do really well from behind on is actually causing them a lot more trouble.
Yeah, it's just a couple of these engagements really set the tone for this game, and CUB have done a very good job of finding their initiation, sticking together, and not overexposing themselves without cause. Those were all big flaws in their play, both earlier in this game and all throughout last game. And I'm really impressed by the way that they've kind of pulled together some of those loose edges.
Yeah, it's a really good job. But again, it's still not a solid ended game. There's still definitely some good hope coming out here for DU. They do need Spectre to farm a lot more. Fourth on the net worth chart. Of course, all of the members of the Dire cause are ahead, but hopefully Spectre can catch back up. And I'm just not sure what's the next item here for a Spectre.
For this Spectre, yeah, it is difficult to tell. She might even need to end up going something like a BKB just to deal with some of the disables that have been coming out here.
There's, I wouldn't disagree that she needs to not be locked down, but there's of course the issue of the Chronosphere, the fact that she needs damage. There are a lot of issues that need to be solved, and again, despite having an AA, they are having trouble checking in on Roshan. I don't think they suspect that Juggernaut is soloing it, and an AA boss could just check this out for them.
Now, she could go into something like an Echo Saber, I guess, if she wanted to. It's not a very common item on her as far as I'm aware, but it would give her a lot of the things that she's missing.
Ooh.
That said,
They're
she
gonna
needs
get
to
the...
find an opportunity to get into this fight.
They finally check the Roshan pit. The AA Blast will hit, disabling the blink on the Juggernaut. He stops trying to finish it, realizing they might be coming in. Echo Slam is still at the ready, but so is Chronosphere. Spectre haunts in, again disabling blinks. The Chronosphere does manage to hit on two, and again, will they be able to pick off this Venom monster? Does it matter? They steal the Aegis, and now Jug comes back in. Omni ults, but Diffusal's going all over the place. Echo Slam unfortunately not hitting too many targets. But looking not too awful, I say. As Spectre, the Aegis is used. Let's see if they can Bash Brothers this. A Fissure trying to make sure that Spectre can get on out. She doesn't have Manta for 15 more seconds, but she gets Omni Slashed, and that'll be that.
There's a really nice play to hunt in and steal that Aegis, but the Echo Slam left a lot of room to be desired, and that's a good chunk of their damage at this stage of the game. It shouldn't be. Like, at this stage of the game, they should have right-click, but their draft didn't really give that to them, and their TA is not able to carry the weight that she needs right now. Yeah, with that death, with that series of deaths, it does look like CUB will probably be able to cinch this victory a little short of 40 minutes here.
Yeah, really
There are
good job.
buybacks, so there should be one big fight left, but I don't really know that there's a lot that can be done.
Well, it's also difficult because Haunt is on cooldown for another 54 seconds.
Right. And Echo Slam also on cooldown. Poison Nova is up, but it's not really that useful in this sort of a fight.
Yeah, it does feel very much like the issue being Veno not able to contribute as well as their Lion did last game. And now
Yeah.
they are just going to have the Veno blown up
Radiant's bottom barracks
right there, and it's looking like these are the lost legs. Spectre is going to respawn a fissure, just gonna slightly delay things, but it's not even
Radiant's
that helpful, and good day.
Yeah, at this point in time, maybe the Spectre thinks about building into a Maelstrom, because
You love
if
that
they win
item.
this game, you know, it's in this case, like, what do? You give her Battle
Oh,
Fury?
gosh.
She's terrible with Battle Fury.
Saint Blue getting picked off. Spectre now also going to most likely fall in this chronosphere. She is spun on, caught out, bashed, brought down, no buyback.
Alright, well,
And,
that's game.
yeah, I have to imagine no
What I was
forwards.
going to say is, it looks like if there's any chance to win this game, they're going to be playing in the Mega Creeps at some point in time, and she needs to be able to contribute in clearing those out, but looks like there's no chance to win this game, so
Radiant's middle tower is under attack.
yeah, they're going to take the safe route.
Yeah, it's just a really rough one. Venom tries to blink in, get some work done. It is a nice Echo Slam as well. Templar Assassin actually might be able to kill off the Juggernaut, but no, he gets off the Omni Slash first. Templar is dusted up, so can't just try and dodge by going invisible, and is but just able to kill. One more auto attack on her, though, will bring her down. There's going to be a buyback coming out of Earthshaker. They actually have a good chance to get some work done here. The fissure blows up Timbersaw. Can they follow the Faceless Void? He has Time Walk in 1 second. They need somewhere to lock him down. That's going to be the Lincoln's pop there. They just need to stun him, and they managed to get it, blowing him up. They are not megaed yet.
All right. I was really surprised to see them go for the racks instead of just going for the throne. I think without the disadvantage of the potential high ground and the potential creeps around, sieging the throne, that fight might have gone a little bit better for CUB, don't you think?
Yeah, it was definitely an interesting choice of engagement, and especially since Venno did manage to blink in, get the ult off, kind of also throw the veil on people, and folks didn't split.
Yeah. Yeah, well, when you go for the racks, you know, you're automatically forced into a choke point. That's always dangerous. But good on Colorado University for keeping this game going a little bit longer. They need to get some more items up. That's, I think, goes without saying. But, once again, this game is not over yet.
Spectre gonna have a little bit of a scare in the bottom lane, but just throws her Montas on it.
I'm interested to see how this Spectre itemizes. Because, once again, they need some way to knock out super creeps, and TA is not enough on her. The Metamancer sure isn't going to do anything to it. Like, she's not going to be able to build anything for it. The AA not going to be able to build anything for it. More than likely, the Earthshaker not going for a crit shaker late game sudden turnaround in his build, so he's not going to get anything for it. Really does have to be the Spectre.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, they're deep in the hole. 20,000 net worth behind, 10,000 experience, but again, it feels like Spectre is a hero that can deal with these odds somewhat. The big other issue I see here is, yes, you have a TA with a Deso and now a crit, but if they do get out of their base, and I expect how it'll go is that the Spectre ends up being one of the few to survive, I'm not sure how you'd have her knock down towers, because she doesn't really hit hard. So there's a lot of issues.
Now, you need the TA to survive to bring that Desolator out. And suddenly you're saying, like, well, yeah, things can go pretty well for Colorado University if they take a fight, and the TA survives, and they get the TA out in the lane, and they use the Desolator. Like, very low percentage on these requirements.
Yeah, well, hopefully for Denver they can take an advantage of the fact that they will have creeps coming in that helps against the Earthshaker, and maybe Colorado will be a little bit over
Dire's top tower is under
exuberant.
Spectre actually TPing home rather than staying out and farming in the jungle and using to get in. That's an interesting call.
Yeah. Anyway, we have to check a couple things. We've got buyback status over here. They hit the wrong hotkeys. We do have 2 on Radiant, but not more than that. And okay, now just 1 and timers. So that's something really scary. And the other thing I'd be really, really worried about is that Colorado or Boulder is getting ready for the next push.
Right, and This time, presumably, they're going to have all the tools that they need at their disposal, at least to keep either the Juggernaut or the Timbersaw alive long enough to do the damage to kill everybody.
Oh,
And
they find the Spectre. She does that. Oh, it jumps back to her, and then the finger, the unlucky bounces. Spectre does have buyback here. She was making sure to save it, but it's a hard pill to swallow having to use it there. Timbersaw just completely whiffs on that chain. Gonna point that one out, and yeah, it's gonna be looking like the push is coming.
yeah, that's really tough for the Spectre. She did decide to stay on a farm that time, right underneath a very common ward spot, and that was where she had been before. She would have been much safer up in the dire jungle near the mid lane. Like, that's someplace where she's probably able to sit without being seen by wards. But going into her own jungle is actually much more dangerous at this stage in the game.
Here we go. Spectre does decide to haunt on in. She's jumping in aggressively. Needs to get... Oh gosh, she got caught in the Chronosphere. But it is going to give Templar Assassin a little bit of time to get damage out. And actually, Faceless Void in a lot of trouble. Beautiful Echo Slam coming on out. They're doing it. They are going to see Venno fall, but a lot of damage is going out onto the Dire team. They need a couple more hits on Dad, and they're unable to get it on the Jug. Templar Assassin has fallen, and that is almost all of their damage. Earthshaker goes down. Spectre is trying to follow, but she will fall, and that'll be the GG's.
Yeah. As their throne is being attacked. Okay, so that is... I mean, that was well fought by Colorado University. They stayed in that game much longer than I think either of us expected them to. But at the end of the day, just better played by their opponents.
Yeah. Well, we will be headed into game 3, folks. Once again, I'm Llama. I'm joined by Gorgon. And this is the Collegiate Star League. We'll see you guys in a second.
Ben, Sam, and Ken are on separate journeys to defeat the menacing Vile Dragon. But let's just say luck isn't on their side. If only there was a way for them to find each other and band together. Well, that's why there's Band. It's a mobile app that allows people to come together using common interests. With Band, you can find fellow gamers, chat, schedule gaming sessions, and conduct polls. Stage epic battles with friends while sharing videos and photos along the way. So try Band today. Band. Be together.